Welcome to Revenza Tales, where tales of betrayal and strong comebacks ignite your passion. Smash subscribe, click the bell, and share with friends who battle for their reality. Envision your fiancé and sister taking away your future, with family chanting their encouragement. What would you do to take back your heart? Hold on tight for a story of love, betrayal, and indomitable determination. I'm Beatrice, a 29-year-old graphic designer in Austin, Texas, where live music and food trucks pulse through the streets like a heartbeat. My life wasn't always this vibrant. A few years back, I stood at the edge of my happily ever after, only to watch it crumble in a way I never saw coming. Let me take you back to the day betrayal hit me like a freight train. I'd been with Grayson since college days in UT Austin. He was a real estate agent with a great smile and a gift for making you feel like you're his entire universe. 3 years of us together, we constructed a life of late-night tacos, weekend hikes at Zilker Park, and plans of our future together. One night, at a downtown community event space, Grayson hosted an impromptu engagement party. String lights were aglow, a local band softly played covers, and friends applauded as he went down on a knee. I answered yes, my heart pounding, as if I floated. The ring gleamed, the crowd cheered, and I thought, this is it, my moment. But afterward, I had to escape the din. My phone was on the fritz, grabbing just a signal. I snuck outside to the courtyard of the venue, a serene area with fairy lights and a bubbling fountain. That's where I spotted them. My little sister Chloe and Grayson, deep in a kiss so heated they didn't even see me. My world fell apart. Chloe, whose hair was influencer perfect and whose boldness I'd always admired in secret, had her hands wrapped in his hair. Grayson, my fiancé, kissed her back as if his life was on the line. I stood stock still, breath suspended, world spinning. For an instant, I believed I dreamed. Then Chloe's eyes locked with mine. She recoiled, her expression a combination of guilt and defiance. Grayson spun, passion giving way to panic. Beatrice, he stuttered. I didn't give him time for explanations. My heart galloped, eyes blurred by tears. I ran, heels clicking on the pavement, not halting until I'd reached my car. I drove to a city hotel, neon lights ablaze, and checked in without a scheme. I merely had to be anywhere but there. In my room, I collapsed onto the bed, wearing my party dress, betrayal overwhelming me. My phone buzzed incessantly. First Chloe's text. I'm so sorry, Beatrice, I didn't mean for you to find out like this. I love him. Then Grayson's. I asked him to marry me because I thought it would make everything okay, but I love Chloe. We were supposed to be. Every word a knife thrust. 3 years of loving, building a life. And I was a holding spot until Grayson wanted my sister. They rationalized it as if my heart didn't exist. I wept until my throat was sore, humiliated, injured, lost. How could the two people I loved most do this to me? On the evening I believed my life was starting, I had no idea how I was going to get through tomorrow. Spending 5 days in hiding at that hotel, burning through savings, I knew I had to get out. Clients were expecting design drafts, and I needed to keep my life from totally unraveling. As I drove back toward my East Austin apartment, I had a knot in my stomach. I hadn't prepared myself to deal with anyone, but I required my laptop, my clothes, something to ground me. What I didn't anticipate was the tableau waiting outside when I opened the door. My whole family was in attendance. Mom, Dad, my aunt, who'd been living with us since her husband died, and naturally, Chloe and Grayson. They filled my living room like some sort of surreal welcoming committee. The atmosphere was heavy with tension, but they pretended everything was okay. Mom hurtled towards me, arms wide. Oh, Beatrice, we were so scared. Dad nodded, his worry bogus. Chloe was standing there, red eyes as if she'd been crying. Grayson lingered in the background, refusing to meet my eye. I stood there, keys still in hand, trying to make sense of this ambush. Chloe moved forward before I could find my voice, tears streaming, and hugged me. I'm so sorry, Beatrice, she cried. I wasn't trying to hurt you. Her hug was a violation. I remained rigid, frozen in place. The audacity of her believing a hug could make up for her betrayal. I extracted myself, shaking, my voice. I just need to come back and pick up my things and go. I can't handle this. Grayson said something, his voice as serene as possible. You don't have to go, Beatrice. I'm leaving. I'm moving in with Chloe now. I gazed at him, My heart racing so violently I feared it might explode. He was coming in with her already? Then I saw my family's faces, smiling like this was a rom-com finale. Mom's eyes were twinkling. My aunt nodded in approval. I couldn't keep it inside. What the hell are you people smiling about? I snapped. Chloe stole my fiancé, and you're smiling like it's something to celebrate. Mom intervened, voice gentle but firm. Beatrice, we can't alter what's gone down. Chloe and Grayson are in love. We must accept that. It's for the best. Chloe added her voice, her guilt feigned. I should have told you earlier, Beatrice. I didn't want you to hear it that way, but we're soulmates. Then, in front of all those people, she leaned forward and kissed Grayson, a hasty but intentional peck. Mom wiped away tears like it was the most romantic thing. I lost it. This is gross, I said, raising my voice. I spun around, picking up my laptop bag, my hands quivering with anger and hurt. I needed out of that room, that betrayal, that family who cared more about Chloe's happiness than mine. You're all standing here pretending I'm the issue for being upset. She ended my engagement. To my surprise, Dad scowled at me. Don't be childish, Beatrice. You should be glad for your sister. Things happen. You can't make this all about you. My aunt chimed in. You're being jealous when you need to be supportive. Jealous? Supportive? I was living in a parallel universe where there was no right or wrong. My so-called family, who were meant to be backing me up, were sticking up for Chloe and Grayson as if I had done something bad. I couldn't stand it anymore. Get out, I muttered, shaking. All of you, get out of my home. They complained, speaking my name, but I was not hearing. I stormed into my room, tossed clothes and work materials into a bag, and headed out. Mom caught my arm, saying, Beatrice, don't do this. I brushed her off and headed out, the door closing hard behind me. Racing away, Austin's skyline blurring in my rearview, I felt anger and relief. They'd given more value to Chloe's happiness than mine, and I was done letting them make me feel small. I did not know where I was headed, but I was not returning to that betrayal. The next several years involved rebuilding. I leased a small South Austin apartment, with large windows and a view of the city's sparkling skyline. A new beginning. I dove into graphic design, scoring larger clients, creating merch for local bands as a side business. My closest friend, Alma, a copywriter I befriended at a co-working office, was my support. She pulled me to coffee houses on South Congress or trivia nights at dingy bars, assuring me that I didn't need my family to be complete. My cousin, essentially my brother, called infrequently, incensed at how my family handled me. Thanks to their support, I was myself again. Not the shattered woman on that night of that engagement, but stronger, surer. I cut off my family altogether. No calls, no texts, no social media. They attempted to contact me, birthday greetings, holiday messages, but I ignored them. When I received an invitation to Chloe and Grayson's wedding, I ripped it up without hesitation. So did Alma and my cousin. Even a few mutual friends avoided it, joining my side after learning the truth. It felt nice to have some company. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little petty myself. I left my social media open, sharing updates about new projects, trips to the Texas coast, nights out with friends. Some part of me hoped my family would see me flourishing without them, feel remorse for having chosen Chloe. Life went on, and I'd believed I'd left the past behind. And one morning, my phone rang. None I recognized. I was about to let it go, but something compelled me to answer. It was Mom, voice trembling, on the edge of tears. Beatrice, don't hang up, she pleaded. She said Chloe and Grayson started a trendy taco truck in Austin, but it tanked. They'd borrowed heavily, and now loan sharks were after them for nearly $100,000. Investors bailed, employees went unpaid, and they could barely afford groceries. Mom begged me to loan them money to pay off their debts. I sat there, stunned, coffee going cold on my kitchen table. I'd worked diligently for my comfortable existence, savings, good apartment, good career. I could pay, but the idea nauseated me. Why isn't Chloe calling me herself? I inquired. Mom said Chloe and Grayson were too proud, or ashamed, to inquire about what they'd done. She and Dad had contributed as much as they were able, as had Grayson's retired parents. I was their ultimate rescue. I breathed deeply, old anger surging. Mom, They forfeited the right to make demands when they betrayed me. You all did, when you sided with them. Her voice cracked, accusing me of being selfish and telling me Chloe would be at risk if I didn't assist. Your family, Beatrice. You can't just turn your back on her. I could. I'd rebuilt my life after they'd destroyed it. I said I wouldn't assist, because I couldn't, isn't the point. I owed them nothing. When I began to cry, guilt pulled at me, but I suppressed it. I hung up, shaking hands, feeling right but weighed down by my decision. I was not the bad guy, but no was still painful. Weeks went by, and things turned in a direction I hadn't anticipated. I was at my workplace, making adjustments to a logo for a client, when my next-door neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, phoned. Beatrice, there's a couple at your apartment door hollering for you to emerge. They've been there for an hour, and they didn't look right. My heart dropped. I told her to tell me about them, but I already knew. When she said a tall man with dark hair and a woman with a loud voice, I knew for sure, Chloe and Grayson. Mrs. Alvarez had sounded concerned, stating they looked unhinged. I thanked her and went home from work, heart pounding as I drove. Driving up to my apartment, I spotted them standing in my front yard, Chloe pounding on my door, Grayson pacing a caged animal. They screamed my name, their voices tinged with desperation. I stepped out, phone in hand, and yelled, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Chloe turned around, her face flushed with rage. Grayson advanced, his eyes wild. I began dialing 911, but Grayson pushed me, grabbing the phone from my hand. It cracked when it hit the ground, and fear surged through me. "We just want to talk, Beatrice," Chloe said, voice softer but with something menacing. "We don't want anything from you yet." I asked them to say it there in the yard. There was no way I was letting them into my house. Chloe told me Mom had informed her about our call, how I'd blocked everyone. "It's been years, Beatrice. You need to get over it." I was there, heart racing, Austin evening wind carrying the distant hum of food trucks in the vicinity. Their brazenness kindled a fire in me, not only for what they had done, but for assuming I owed them an apology. "You're being a drama queen, making this all about you." Chloe told me they had sold their home and jewelry to cobble together money, but it may not be sufficient. "We need to know you'll help us if things deteriorate," she said, as if it was my responsibility. I laughed harshly even to myself. "Help you? I detest you too. You think you can appear after all this and ask for anything?" Grayson interrupted, his voice low and threatening. "We're not leaving until you sign something guaranteeing to assist us when we require it." I was flabbergasted. A piece of paper? Were they crazy? I explained it wouldn't stand up in court, and even if it would, I'd never sign. Chloe's face contorted. She pushed me hard. "You owe us, Beatrice. Family or else you can't leave us." My reaction was to push back, but I got a hold of myself. I did not want to fight. Instead, I dived for my phone on the ground and ran to the car. Thank God I'd left the engine running. I peeled out, my heart pounding, and drove a few blocks down. From afar, I phoned the police, telling them everything. Chloe and Grayson attempting to break in, being shoved, threatened. I drove back as the police pulled up, their lights flashing in the Austin twilight. I recounted the time to them, voice shaking but firm. They arrested Chloe and Grayson for attempted breaking and entering, cuffing them as they complained. Seeing them dragged off was a weight lifting, but my hands seemed to shake. I'd fought back, but the anger and fear stuck with me, a reminder of how far they'd push. About a week after this, I believed I'd finally know peace. I didn't. One hot afternoon, watering plants in my South Austin apartment building, I heard a knock. I looked through the window. My parents stood there, appearing smaller, faces weighed down with something I couldn't decipher. They weren't demanding or hostile, so I opened the door, preparing myself. Mom came in, sobbing. "Beatrice, I'm sorry," she wept, voice shattering. "We were wrong to side with Chloe. We realize that now." Dad nodded, his stern expression abolished. They'd heard about Chloe and Grayson's arrest, how they attempted to break in, how Chloe shoved me. "We can't stand up for them anymore," he said. "We should have cut them off years ago when they hurt you." Mom's hand came out to mine, tears flowing. "You didn't deserve this. You failed you." My throat constricted. Part of me wished to hold them, have their words soothe years of pain. But the part that constructed me again from scratch could not relinquish the pain. Their apology was sincere, but too late. I'm happy you see it now, I said, voice firm but quiet. But I've come to learn to live without you all. I don't want to make family my priority if it means losing myself. They attempted to debate, telling me we could restore, that family could be something. I shook my head. I don't want to try anymore. I just want peace. They looked defeated but realized, even if it was painful. Before they departed, they asked whether I'd unblock their numbers so they could remain in touch. I considered it and agreed, unblocking them that evening. It was odd, like a hairline fracture in the wall I'd constructed, but I wasn't prepared to open up to them completely. I had to shield the life I'd struggled to create, where I was adequate by myself. Following the arrest, Chloe and Grayson had consequences. They pleaded guilty to misdemeanors, receiving probation and fines they were unable to afford. Their taco truck enterprise fell through entirely. Loan sharks harassed them, and they relocated to a dilapidated apartment on Austin's periphery. I learned from Alma that they were arguing all the time, their soulmate love disintegrating under stress. I didn't feel happiness, but fairness, a silent contentment that their decisions caught up to them. I continued constructing my life. My graphic design career flourished. I secured a contract with a local brewery, creating their cans, my artwork plastering Austin bars. Alma and I conquered trivia nights at Radio Coffee and Beer, giggling over poor responses. My cousin came to visit, regaling me with tales of his journeys, reminding me I had loved ones who picked me. Mrs. Alvarez, the neighbor, visited frequently, her warm tamales a solace after that night. I began a blog, posting my designs and bits of my history, finding others who'd experienced betrayal. It was a night, alone on my balcony, the city skyline lighting up over a pink Texas sunset, that I felt unfettered. I remembered the woman who'd fled that engagement party, heartbroken. I spoke to her softly, "You created this. You are enough." And I was mine. My apartment, my work, my family by choice were my own, worked for through determination. I didn't require revenge. I required my own peace, and I'd taken it. The moral is that betrayal can shatter you, but being yourself makes you stronger again. Family isn't deserving of your loyalty when it steals your soul. Peace is worth the fight. Thanks for watching Revenza Tales, where tales of strength and victory live. Smash that like button, share your comeback tales in the comments, and subscribe for more legendary tales. Pass this on to others who need a dash of courage, and I'll meet you in the next story.